I do want to go straight to the Scottish Premiership. Obviously, it's all kicked off up there, which is exciting. It's weird now seeing all the football start again. Pre-season's done now. It's the serious stuff. We spoke about Rangers at length last week just because of their exploits in Europe. A good win over Panathinaikos, getting them to the next stage of the Champions League. Not so good for them on the weekend, dropping points away at Motherwell. I say not so good. Isn't that a good point away from home, or is the pressure now so much that you have to win every single game of your Rangers away from home or at Ibrox?
Well, at the start of the season, they've done brilliantly to get the results against Panathinaikos through to the next stage of the Champions League, and very, very important that they make it through to the group stages. Yeah. Right. But opening game, it's a difficult fixture away from home at Motherwell. Motherwell will be ready for the game. Not sure what the manager. I think. Let me put it this way. In the past number of seasons, Rangers have been unable to win matches that they would be expected to win. That was the point. And I suppose really the new manager coming in was to try to stop that. To win games. They can, as we've said there before, they can compete with Celtic on any given day. Have they the consistency to go on and win matches that they'd be expected to win? Coming on the back of Panathinaikos, opening game, confidence high, going into the match, they probably, with the pitch being in fantastic condition, they would be expected to go and beat Motherwell. That's the point. And they didn't do. So what's happened is that the new manager's probably thinking, oh, is this something that has been in the past? Is this something I haven't been able to eradicate, if that's the point? I think you can go over the top sometimes in criticism very early on. However, if you are going to criticise, you might as well get it out of the way first of all, because it has much, much less effect during the course of the season. Last thing you want to be doing is being hypercritical of players, particularly if you're talking about players. What was, I think, the phrase that he used was self-preservation.
Yeah, he said the players didn't want to run. He said there was no effort.
Well, self-preservation, you can get self-preservation at any given stage. Listen, I was a footballer, and when the confidence was low, I used to think, no, I don't really want this ball. I don't want it.
Their confidence won't be low. Which is more salient, Martin, about the situation with this new manager? Is it new broom sweep clean, or is it they need time to be able to influence the thinking of the players? Because, he's been there for, 8 weeks? And a passage of that time was 8 weeks where he was getting his feet under the table and the players weren't even there.
Yep.
So which is the more salient observation about Rangers? Because you've made the point, and the point's clear that most people looked at, which is Rangers can compete in big games, and they go and lose games or draw games or don't get outcomes against lesser opposition that you would bake into your thinking that they would do.
Yeah.
So in that instance, which is the more prevalent situation for Russell Martin to be judged by? You've got to give him latitude, or should a new broom sweep clean and concentrate people's minds pretty fast?
Oh, no, I think you definitely need the time. There's no question about that there, and that was something that I was hoping to get when I went up to Celtic way back 20-odd years ago. And the point is this, that I got lucky in many aspects because I got off to a really decent start. And by the time that we had into our 5th or 6th game against Rangers, we had won the games. We had a bit of confidence going about ourselves. This is the point. So you'd expect a little bit of time. What you want, what the Rangers fans are looking for, is to be able to go away from home and win those games. That's the point. And they didn't win that game. And there would be an element of the Rangers fans thinking, oh, here we go again. But that's too early to make that judgment.
What's he doing by being so bold and robust from the outset? Is he marking people's cards, playing to the gallery, or setting out his stall? What's he doing? You've been a manager. You know the way to communicate with the media. You know the messages that people say. Keep it in the keep it in the dressing room. Don't bring it in the public domain. Don't criticise your players too early. Don't go hard on them until you've got the group around you. What's he doing by doing what he's just done?
Well, that's a good point. I started thinking about myself of what did I do in my earlier stages of management, and did I become critical of players early on in an attempt to ingratiate myself with fans and saying, "Oh, give them some time." That's a point considering, or you have to consider, or is it a point of saying, "Listen, let's get this out in the open"? I think that from a distance, I don't think I would have been that critical of a team that has just got through 2 difficult matches against Panathinaikos. I wouldn't have done that there. If you have plenty to say it to them in the dressing room. But the point I made to it is that if this is what you want to do, if you want to get something out in the open, and you want to bring people in, then if you're going to do it, you might as well do it early.
Because he'll be frustrated, Eddie. Yeah. He will be frustrated that the obvious comparison instantaneously, because they're waiting for him. His Rangers at Celtic, they're waiting for you in the weeds, and so he'll be conscious of the fact that people will be going, "I'm more the same."
Yeah,
and more the same.
That's Celtic beat St Mirren
right.
as well on the weekend. Let's hear from Russell Martin. This is what he had to say after that game.
I think we were lucky to get a point. We were nowhere near where we need to be, and I'm extremely disappointed and hurt by that. They were braver than us, they were more aggressive than us. There is a default here. The default is to revert to type, which is when it's going really well, everyone's all in, it's really good. When it's not going well, you protect yourself a little bit, and the self-preservation stuff. So we had 2 men on the pitch today that want to do what they want to do. When you want to just jog around and do what you want to do, there's a big problem. So some of them have to drop their ego.
You asked a question, Simon, to Martin about sort of Russell Martin getting time. Obviously, he needs to get his feet under the table and style of play, etc. Is there not an element of Russell Martin having to give his players time to adapt to the way Russell Martin likes to play?
Yeah, of course, I agree with that. But you talk about getting time, and it's nice to think that you can get this particular time, but you don't get it up there. You really don't. You have to be up and running, and I think this is the point. Rangers are looking forward to a new season. Got a couple of really good results, as I said, now in the next stage, because those were difficult matches, regardless of what you think about Panathinaikos. And then to go open the season in a game where you're absolutely ready for it. You've had the game during the week, and you're ready for it. You're absolutely ready for it. And then you're second best against Motherwell during the course of the game. And in fact, with a couple of minutes left, Motherwell could easily have won the game. They'd broken clear, and they could have won the game. So, yeah, I'll get back to your point, which I think I agree with both of you. There is that element of, I think, giving players a little bit of time, but giving yourself that time as well too. And I think the criticism early on, I'm not so sure I would have done that myself, but I'm not sure that I've ever been right about that either. So my point I'll say is that you've got to give him time to implement what he has. 6 or 8 weeks is not very, very long in the job.
The only thing I would caveat that with is high standards aren't something you need to adjust to. It's something you should have in the first place. He's not talking about their ability to play in a certain system. He's talking about their application and their motivation. He used very basic examples of people being prepared to run. I know that might be oversimplifying what he said, but high standards aren't something that top players at top football clubs should have to adjust to. Maybe the nuances and the peculiarities of how a manager wants to communicate with you or how he sets a team up. Get it, got that. Yes, of course, you've got to adjust to it. The manager's got more to adjust to. The manager walks into a football club, inheriting somebody else's work, unpicking the challenges that have got him there in the first place, otherwise he wouldn't be there, adjusting to the environment he's been in because it's new to him. It's not new to the players. This is their environment. They know what they're playing in front of. They know what the expectation is. The only thing they don't know is what the expectation is from the manager. So liven yourselves up from the outset. So the adjustment is bigger for the manager. So there shouldn't be as much dispensation for the players as there should be for the manager. There should be more dispensation for the manager because he's got all of those challenges. And the players have got to get their head in the game. It's interesting because this is what he does, Russell Martin. I remember him doing it after Southampton lost to Cardiff or somebody in the playoff build-up when they were right in momentum. They looked like they were going to get the second spot into the Premier League the season they got promoted. Yeah. And they lost their momentum in a game, and he was beside himself with agitation and aggravation. And I think he pretty much called his entire team out. But this was a team that he'd built and he'd had a relationship with, so he knew the peculiarities of the individuals and he knew what buttons he could push. Going hard now has its consequences, which means that he perhaps you'll lose somebody. Perhaps he wants to. Perhaps he wants people to understand, I'm going to go hard and you're going to go home. It's up to you how you want it to be. I quite like what he said there.
Is he not putting undue pressure on himself, though?
Well, his disappointment will be, they've just travelled back in a plane the other evening there from Greece, having got through. And then they end up with a performance like...
Yeah, but they're going to be a bit leggy, aren't they, from that game?
Listen, not for me. Not for me.
Too early in the season?
Too early in the season, okay. Absolutely. In fact, if anything else, it would have been a build of confidence more than anything. You've got through into the second stages when you might even have been considered second favourites to get through in that particular tie. So no, and what he'll be thinking is that how can you go from that sort of performance? Maybe performance might not have been great, but the result that they got out there, and that's the most important thing, certainly early on for him, is to win the football matches. He will be conscious of the fact that the Rangers fans might think, here we go again. We can't go and put 2 games together and get the results.
Also, the fact that they're playing Motherwell is a lesser opposition than playing Panathinaikos. So they're calling that out for what it is.
Yeah.
You win these games because it's their cup final. And when Rangers and Celtic come into town, they want to play. So you better be matching these people at the very bare minimum. You'll match them technically because you're better players than them. You better be matching them spiritually and physically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he better not lose his next game or draw his next game. Russell Martin.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Oladipo, Jordan and O'Neill on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. And next we're going to be speaking to our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, for the latest on Alexander Isak.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.